Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders, and you're listening to the Kickin' It With Your Boy podcast.
Had to step my game up. When you bring my name up, they gon' say I came up. They gon' say I changed up. Step my game up. When you bring my name.
What's up, guys? It's your boy out here kicking it with my boy, Eric Nicksik, head coach over there at Extreme Couture out there in Las Vegas. Coached many fighters, a lot of championship fights, Joseph Benavidez, Francis Ngannou, to name a few. And man, one of the things that I like to talk about, and I had James Krause on here, who's like a current fighter and coach, and how he manages both. But you don't have any fighting experience, so I just want to kind of get into how you got into the fighting and into the coaching of fighters, especially because you were a football player, you played ball in college, just like the rest of us, or like the vast majority. The shit don't work out in the long term. So was it like what am I going to do now? And I just kind of fell into this, or how'd you get into the coaching aspect of fighting?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I come from a lineage of coaches with my father and my uncles, and even my dad's uncles, so my great uncles, was the head coach for the Washington Redskins. He coached for the Cleveland Browns. So the coaching lineage ran through deep through my family. So I felt at some point I was going to be in coaching one way or another, whether it was football or a different sport. I never really assumed that it would be in the realm of MMA. But what really happened for me was, as you well know, when you get out of football, you miss the sport inherently. You miss the grind, you miss the fucking competition. But I really miss the camaraderie. I miss the people. I miss the fellas. I miss the locker room. I miss the practices, the road trips. That's what I really miss the most, I think, when you boiled it down. And that was the element that I got back right away when I stepped into Extreme Couture. I felt like I was a part of a family again and a brotherhood. And I fell in love with it right away. So it wasn't so much the fact of the MMA that I wanted to be accomplished in. It was the fact of like, I wanted to gain this brotherhood again. But by doing so, it was me being in the gym daily. I was in the gym grinding with Mike Pyle and Martin Campman and all those boys. I wouldn't say grinding with them. I'd say getting beat up by them. And then, but it was, how it is, bro. When you show up, it's when you show up again, like they're going to whoop your ass to the point where they don't want you to come back. But when you keep coming back in, they're like, all right, man, I like this kid. Like he's working hard. He's keeping his mouth shut and he's staying on the grind. So my goal was to never really be a pro fighter. I was actually in school as a firefighter paramedic. And that was going to be my end game. I was going to go in the fire service. I tested really well for all the departments out here. I got hired on by North Las Vegas and City. And I felt like that was going to be my path. And then, unfortunately, some things that happened to me in college where I got in a little bit of trouble raised its ugly head during my background test.
As we
all know, man. So it was the ability to get hired again. I had that option, but it also was kind of like, man, maybe this is a sign that this is not for me. I was running calls, working for a private ambulance service out here. And bro, it was death and it was ugly things that you see in society on a day-to-day basis. And it was starting to take a toll on me to where I didn't know if this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And fortunately for me, Randy, had the option for me to be able to coach. I had a coaching position here, and more opportunities started to rise for me here at Extreme Couture. And that's kind of where I think I took advantage of the fact of, I've been training, I've been doing everything. I might not be fighting on a pro level because that was never really the goal, but my fight IQ started to grow while being at Extreme Couture. So that's kind of how I fell into it.
Has your coaching philosophy changed over the years? Because I know like guys like Nick Saban, they started like this, and then has like science and concussion and all this like health stuff and recovery stuff comes out, and science does its thing. It's like, okay, we don't need to be hitting as hard or doing as much. We need to kind of take it in this direction. A lot of mental reps, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of film study, a lot of things like this, so that come game time, come Saturday, these guys are out here and they're able to perform physically.
Bro, you hit it on the head. And I think that's what makes Nick Saban such a great coach, is because he's always ahead of his time. Nick Saban's never, and I actually learned this from Nick himself, because I remember when they got beat by Ohio State, and he went out and started talking to Tom Herman and understand what Tom Herman did as the offensive coordinator to beat him, because there's always areas of improvement, vast areas of improvement. And if you're not stepping outside your comfort zone to try to broaden those horizons, you're going to get left behind. You're going to be the old dog. I think you started to see that more like in the jiu-jitsu game, where like the Gracies were so stuck in their ways, but they never really gave Eddie Bravo credit for his creativity and doing things that were kind of cutting edge. They stayed like, oh no, that's not the way to do it.
That's probably like a marketing thing as well. Not even not marketing, but there's a lot of money in jiu-jitsu, and it's like, do it our way. We're doing it the right way. I don't know what that guy's doing. Come spend your money over here, kind of thing. That's kind of how I feel about things like that, because, man, he's doing jiu-jitsu over there. He's winning. So what's he doing different than you guys are doing?
And not only that, he's beating you. Yeah. He's beating you, and what you are preaching, this guy's coming over and beating you. So you and I come from a different lineage. Is if we play an offense that's smoking us or beating us or doing something that we are able to figure out, we're going to go and spend as much time as we can to learn to understand it. It's like a car engine. You want to know how the car engine works. What parts do you have to make this engine work? So you got to take it apart. You got to be able to put it back together. That's the same mentality that I have for MMA. It's constantly evolving. So, dude, if you're stuck in your ways and stuck in your comfort zone, if you're not going out to go pick Brandon Gibson's brain, if you're not talking to Eddie Chaw, if you're not talking to Trevor Whitman and learning and understanding new systems and new ideas, you're going to get left behind in this sport.
Yeah, and man, you kind of see that happen every now and then. But then every now and then a guy makes a resurgence. Man, I really didn't want to talk so much about Francis, but how has it been like coaching that guy? Because you watch him in his early career and he's just knocking people's heads off. And that's what he kind of got known for, just one punch power, just, Pez dispenser and everybody. But the evolution that he made from even the first Stipe fight to this last Stipe fight, man, anybody with two eyes who doesn't know anything about the sport can be like, man, that's not the same guy. Would you say that that's because of a combination of him being so young, so new in the game, and, coaches like you, Dewey, and everybody who comes together to help him? Or is this guy, all he needed was time? He's a super athlete. He's never been an athlete, so he got to learn how to be an athlete, how to learn how to drill, how to, do things over and over and over again. Like, what is it about that guy that makes him so special outside of the physical?
You nailed it, bro. It was a perfect storm. I think it was all of those things that you said that you brought together. And I think it's my job as a coach to kind of be the captain of the ship and understand where the winds are blowing and how to make that ship go the right direction. And it's important to sit down and communicate with your fighters. It's important to sit down and understand what's really going through their heads, what things were bothering them. What are their fears? What are you afraid of in this sport? Where can we get better? Now, and like we talked about this, and I said this a few times in different podcasts, but one of my biggest breakthroughs with Francis was hearing or him admitting to his accountability to where he needed to get better. It's one thing for you and I to tell him where he needs to get better, because that's what we see. But when you admit it yourself, when you say like, if you have like this addiction or you have an alcohol problem, I don't know if this is the right assessment, but it's important for you to go, hey man, I need help. I know where I'm weak, or I know where this, and then you have something you can kind of focus on. So, I think all of those things that you bring up were very important in his maturation and his growth, was to admit where we need to be better at. And at the end of the day, bro, you and I talked about this on a personal level. You are the CEO of your own corporation.
Absolutely.
You hire, fire, do whatever you need to do, because at the end of the day, when you lay your head on your pillow, Eric Anders, you understand what you left behind. You understand what hard work you didn't put in or did put in, because your career is on you. So that's the kind of the sentiment I started to put across to him, to the point where there was days that I thought we had off, that I wanted to take off. I was beat to shit. And guess what? That phone rings and it's like, yo, Bubba, hey, I want to go train today. What are you thinking? I knew we were going to say we're going to take the day off, but how do I tell my fighter, no, we're going to take the day off because I need the rest, man. I dust my ass off and get my ass to work, because that's the mindset that we try to instill in him, and it worked, bro.
And, that's also a kind of testament to you as a coach. A lot of coaches will be like, man, listen, we already talked about this. We set the schedule. Today's, whatever, Wednesday. You say you're taking Wednesday off. I got plans with the family and this. To be a coach and to want to coach and to, a lot of people say, I want to coach championship level fighters, but man, I don't think they really understand the sacrifice that, you know, the coaches, and obviously the fighter makes sacrifices, but the coach is always kind of, no one really thinks about them too much. You know, I don't know how many fighters Extreme has, but there's a gazillion, you know, there's a lot. And each fighter requires their own amount of time. And, you know, these guys, you know, guys like yourself, you know, spend a lot of time away from their family and make sacrifices. But then when you get a guy like that who's willing to work and appreciate your time and the sacrifices that you're making, I'm sure that makes it a whole lot easier for you as a coach. Give up that time.
It's the best thing in the world, man. And when you see that moment where, you know, he wins his belt, the biggest moment in his life, and he gives my son a shout out, you know, like that. And that to me runs a little bit deeper in the fact of he understands what time we've been giving away. He understands what time my son has not had because it's going to him. It's going to Francis, meaning, you know, so the beautiful thing about that, the household that we have is that I want to make sure that my family knows where that time is going. If I'm not home, I want them to be invested in the Danny Gays and the Punas and the Francises, because, you know, they have something to cheer for. They get to turn the TV on and they're now emotionally invested with them as well. So you saw that on fight night, man. Like the celebration in my home was a win for all of us because there was a lot of our time put into Francis.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders, and this episode of Kicking It With Your Boy is sponsored by Men and Nails. Man, it's time to start taking care of our hands and nails. Cut your nails. You know, you said something I also want to touch on. It was like the mindset and how you coach different fighters, because on a mental capacity, Puna is not the same as Francis, as Dan, as Brad, as, you know, all these guys are different. They have different things going on, different personalities. Like I've had coaches, like I'm super chill on fight day. And, you know, I've had coaches, you know, kind of like damn near throw cold water in my face, but hey, dude, get up. Like, we got to move. I'm like, hey, relax, dude. This, you know, I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm in the zone. So how do you go about learning each fighter individually? Because I think you have to have an intimate relationship with your fighter. Coach and fighter have to have an intimate relationship and know each other. So, like, you know, when he's hurt in a fight, you know, when he's, you know, playing possum in a fight, you know, when he's not fired up, you know, when he's too riled up. Like, how do you go about learning each and every fighter that you have on your roster and that you coach?
It's almost like you date them in a sense, right? There's a lot of communication. You know, I ask a lot of questions. I poke, I prod. And I hope that in any relationship that communication is key. I don't communicate as well as I should with my wife, but, you know, when it comes to the fight game, you know what I mean?
Woman communication, there's always going to be a barrier there. Don't even talk about it.
There's always going to be a barrier there, but the more information that I can get out of my fighter, and the more that we can understand one another, then that helps me realize what they need come fight day. You know, Francis is a lot like you, where he's just, bro, he is mellow. That dude can nap the whole day. And there's a part of me going like, hey, we got to wake this guy up. But like you said, sometimes you don't need to have all that. Sometimes that excitement burns you out throughout the entire day. Then there's other guys that like to get up and do the shakeout and hit and be up. So you kind of just need to know your fighter, but you get that with that time and that sweat equity that you put into with them day to day.
Yeah, I would imagine that learning somebody, the best way to learn a fighter is to watch them practice, watch them spar. Because, man, you know, things happen in sparring. Like, I know a lot of people say, I mean, you can't help but like get hit hard sometimes in practice. Like, it happens, and you see these things maturate. Like, the things that you do in the practice room, man, they're gonna come out in a fight eventually. You know, the fight ain't always gonna go your way, man. You're gonna struggle sometimes. The guy may be a lot tougher than you thought he would be, or whatever the case may be. But man, I hate like how now that they're on ESPN, ABC, they cut away from the corners in between the rounds, because I forget who Dan Ige was fighting, and man, you come in there, it's round 3. What does that mean? Fuck them up. I'm like, oh, that's what I be wanting to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even as a fan, I want to see how the coach is talking to them or what they're saying, because man, you hear some coaches that are like, "Oh, you're doing good. Breathe." I'm like, I got that part covered, dog.
Yeah,
I can breathe. I'm not gonna forget. Yeah, tell me what's up. Get my mind right. Tell me what I need to do. So where did the burn the boats and the, you know, fuck them up mentality come from?
The burn the boats thing was from my uncle, you know, and my uncle was our linebackers coach. So, you know how those linebackers get down, and, you know, you always, you know what I mean? Like headbutt you with no helmet on, that kind of shit. But yeah, man, he would always talk about that. So he was a big historian guy, and he would talk about Hernan Cortez and them conquering the Aztecs. It's a great story behind it, but basically they were just outnumbered 10-1 when they showed up to conquer the Aztecs, the greatest empire to ever do it. And everybody just thought inherently we're going to get killed. So we're just hop on these boats and head back or retreat right now. So he told all the captains of the ships, he said, burn your ships. Either we're going to leave on their boats or we're going to die. So you gave yourself no option. You give yourself zero option but to succeed, or you're going to die doing it, you know? So my uncle passed away over 10 years ago. So to kind of keep his memory alive, that's when I started the burn the boats thing. It's like, listen, guys, as you and I get it, man, like there is no half-ass in this sport. There's no half-ass in this sport. So if you're going to fucking do it, it's full steam ahead, or don't do it at all.
So do you talk to each fighter differently in between rounds, or is it based on how the fight is going? Or, you know, okay, cool, we're winning, we're up, you know, it's a little more mellow. Okay, we're down, we're losing, let's pick it up. You're a little flat. So I got to talk some shit to you, because we got to get you going.
Both, man. Sometimes I'll even change it in between rounds. In between round 1 and 2, you might get one coach. In between 2 and 3, you might get burned the boats, Eric. You know what I mean? So it really depends on what I need to get out of my fighter, how the fight's looking. Like, for example, you know, when Francis fought Stipe, right? The way the round 1 went, and expecting that, like, hey, we're going to get a finish here. I actually cracked jokes at him when we got there, because I was like, yo, bro, this is the first time I had you in the corner. It's nice to see you. You know, and he kind of giggles too. He's like, yeah, man, this is nice. You know, so I wanted to lighten the mood up a little bit and make him have a little bit of a joke and a smile. But all the while it was back to business, you know? So we train for every little thing, bro. And just like, you know, like I'm a big believer in when you hear that 10-second clacker, to get up on your feet and bounce, because when your opponent looks over and sees you fucking bouncing, ready to go, it sends a message. So every little thing you do in between that corner should be systematic and ran a certain way. You know, I like to sit and watch other guys corner too. I learn a lot, you know, from James Krause. I learn a lot from Coach Montoya. You know, there's a lot of great coaches out there that I agree with you, man. I like hearing the corners, because there's points and things that they bring up that maybe I wasn't aware of. You know, so the corner work itself is that little secret science that I think that we're not probably ready to see all the time, especially when they cut away in between rounds.
Yeah, it's something that, because, you know, every fighter is different, every coach is different. So I've always, like, some fighters, they don't need to be taught. They don't need to be told, throw the jab, throw the cross, throw the, you know, do whatever. They don't need commands. They just need someone to, you know, kind of keep their head in the game, so to speak. Because I know it's fighting and stuff, but man, you can easily get distracted or like lulled to sleep or whatever. It's like, hey, dude, I know you're capable of more than this. You know, you need to go impose your will.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah. And there's those elements too, E, where like you want to dive into their whys. Why are we, what is your reason why we're doing this? What connections do you have? Right. And then there's guys that, like, I can't always be at a 10 and screaming and yelling, because what does that do to you? That keeps you at a 10. And in between rounds, I have 1 minute to get your heart rate down and give you information. If I'm fucking yelling at you for a minute, you're not really going to be resting at all. You're just getting yelled at by your dad, you know? So I always look at it like a conductor of an orchestra, where the guy's like kind of conducting you got to know where to add the gongs and the fucking instruments and the woodwinds. You got to know when to put it all in, bro. And that just takes time. That takes understanding your fighter, for one, and situational awareness. When do they need to hear it?
Yeah, man, that's a great analogy. The orchestra.
That's it.
Man, I know you got practice. I don't want to keep you forever. Love to have you on again. I appreciate you coming on, spending your time with us, and coming and kicking it with your boy. That's all we got for today. I want to get you to practice, because I know how much time means to everybody.
I do want to touch on one thing though, because you brought it up earlier and we didn't really cover it. Was, for me, not being a pro fighter, a lot of things that I see, that when I have to talk to fighters, you have to be real to them. You can't lie. So if you were not a pro fighter and then all of a sudden you become a coach, I see a lot of guys that like to yell or lie and fluff things and say that, oh, well, I did this, and this, and this. They're going to see right through that bullshit. So for me, coming up, when I knew that I didn't have pro fights, that was probably my biggest insecurity on why I did not want to do this, because everybody's going to go like, well, you didn't fight. So why would I trust you? So I took it as like, well, this is going to make me focus on being the best technical coach that I can be from all facets of the game, right? I know I can grapple. I know I can wrestle. I know I can strike. I don't have it on film. I don't have a record to show. I'm not going to lie about it either. I'm not going to bullshit anybody, because we're all grown-ups, and there's a thing called Google, and they're going to look you up and find out if you're bullshit or not. And they're going to know real quick.
You know, people used to do that. You know, they'd even come to the gym here and be like, "Oh, I'm a world champion, this, that, and the third." Cool, bro. What'd you say your name was again? Let me see what's up. To me, that says even more about you as a coach, that a guy or girl, because you coach both men and women, to come to you and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do with my life. This is where I want to go," and that's it. And to trust somebody who has the knowledge, maybe not through practical application, but through film study, from coaching other fighters, from picking other brains, and to even ask other coaches about things. There's a lot of machismo in this game, and to be able to, hey, Mark Montoya, what do you think about this? James Krause, what do you think about that? I think, takes a little bit of, I don't know what the word is, but there's not a lot of people that do it or are willing to like swallow their pride to ask for help or for advice from somebody within their field. And, I think that speaks a lot about you as a person and a coach, because you truly care at that point.
Yeah. Well, I'll take it one step further, man. It's like, Ryder is one of my main guys. And when he came to me and was like, "Listen, bro, I want to go out to train with E and Eddie Chaw at Fight Ready. What do you think?" And I looked at it as an opportunity for more growth for this kid to step outside of a gym that he's only been here, right, since day one. And if he goes out and trains with Eddie Chaw and Eddie shows him two things that might apply to him and help him win a fight, it only makes us look better. Number two, if he goes there and he goes, "Hey, you know what? They run a better system. I got to move out there." Then I'm going to be happy for him when he finds something, or if there's something out there that's going to make him better, right? Because this sport, man, you see these coaches hold on to people and it really suffocates them, and they're not allowed to go step outside their comfort zone. But when you allow somebody to go out, because it shows the fact that it's not about me, bro, it's about you. I want to see you get better. They go, "You know what? This motherfucker actually truly cares about me and not trying to hold me back."
Yeah, and you see it a lot. I was out there, actually, we had somebody else in camp, and they were, every day they would say something about their coach. They were from another gym. He's like, "Man, my coach didn't even want me to come out here. This, and this." And I told him is basically what you said. I'm like, "Man, how much do you really think he care about you?" Right? Just to say that, like, this is my pony in the stable. This is my horse in the stable. I made him. I did everything for him. That's not what martial arts is, first of all. The Gracies went to Japan to get jiu-jitsu. Then they came to Brazil. Then when it came to America, they added a wrestling element to it. So everything's evolving. Nothing stays the same. So for a coach to tell the fighter that, "Hey, you can't do this or you shouldn't do that," there's one thing if you're like, "I don't think that that's the right guy for you, the right fit for you,
right
system for you," but to be like, "Nah, you shouldn't go anywhere. You should just train here in-house, yada, yada, yada." Especially when the coach isn't going out and getting like continuing education or studying or getting up on the latest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that really, keep a fighter from reaching their full potential.
I'll take it one step further, bro. Like, you're absolutely right. And for one, I have the utmost respect for a guy like Eddie Chaw. He's doing a lot of great things. So here's a guy that I love to death. And when you pick up the phone and call me and go, "Hey, I need this guy," then I'm going to say, "Hell yeah, bro," because I know that he's going to this is going to help maturate his career. He's going to understand what an actual fight camp looks like, where I hope Ryder's at in the next 5 years from now is in the position that you're in here, right? Number two to that point is like, bro, I want my wife to go out and go out with her girls, because I'm confident enough knowing that she's coming home. She's coming back home to me, right? And listen, I don't want no wife that no other dudes are hitting on. You know what I mean? I want her looking good. I don't want her to spend $1 at the bar. I want everybody to buy her drinks because get her nice and drunk and send her right back home to me.
Yeah, take that Uber.
Take that Uber.
I'm the same way. I'm like, yeah, baby, go on, get your drink on, go hang out, go kick it. I'll be here. Don't even worry about it.
Have fun. I'll see you soon, babe.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for your time. You guys keep kicking ass out there, and appreciate you.
Always, brother.
Boy. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders. Appreciate you guys for coming and kicking it with your boy.